Have you ever felt like you have a slow or maybe even a broken metabolism? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 legitimate ways that you can actually naturally increase or boost your metabolism so that you no longer feel like you have to crash diet or feel food obsessed or deprived and actually enjoy the journey on your way to your weight loss or health goals. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Kelsey Wiebe. I am a NASM certified nutrition coach and personal trainer, and I help ambitious women to heal their relationship with food and their bodies. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video helping you break free from the all or nothing mindset when it comes to all things food and fitness. And be sure to stay until the end because I'm going to go over the #1 reason why our metabolism's slow as we age and exactly how you can prevent it. Okay, so let's get started by deep diving into the 4 components that make up our metabolism. So this is our total daily energy expenditure, our TDEE, and it's the amount of calories that we burn in a 24-hour period. Now our TDEE is made up of 4 components. We've got our BMR, or basal metabolic rate, our NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, our TEF, which is our thermic effect of food, and our EAT, which is our exercise activity thermogenesis. So the way that I'm going to break this down in today's video is we're going to start by our smallest components and the things that you can do to help each component along the way, and finish off with one big over lifestyle tip that's going to help with all of the components. First up is our EAT, our exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, I want you to recognize that this is our HIIT classes. This is our workouts, our cardios, us going out for a run, us going to that spin class, us being anywhere in the gym. Exercise activity thermogenesis is your structured exercise. And the biggest take I want you to have from this is to recognize that this is really only 5 to maybe 10% of your overall total daily energy expenditure. And the reason I want you to recognize that is so many of us put so much emphasis on making sure that we go for a run, making sure that we're working out every single day, think that we need to just be sweating like crazy in order to boost our metabolism and reach our health or weight loss goals, when in all actuality, it is the smallest bit that we could actually be doing. Now, let me be clear, in no way, shape, or form am I saying not to work out on a regular basis. Not at all. I highly recommend doing at least 2 to 3 days a week of strength training or resistance training, and then doing any other form of exercise that brings you joy. There are so many other reasons to move our bodies besides weight loss or besides wanting to boost our metabolism. And obviously it's really great for our heart and for our mental health. But just recognize that it is the smallest component, and one of the reasons too is because sometimes when we do these really hardcore, high-intensity workouts and cardio sessions, we end up feeling really hungry, which is totally fine, but oftentimes because it was so difficult, we end up overcompensating. We end up overeating to kind of make up for, or felt like we earned it in our workout session, when really it was the smallest component, and it really didn't actually burn as many calories as we think it did. So that is just something to be aware of. Please continue to do structured exercise and continue to do cardio and to continue to do the forms of movement that bring you joy, but recognize that there really isn't any need to put so much weight and so much emphasis on it, because there are so many other factors that go into our overall metabolism. Okay, our next component is the TEF, our thermic effect of feeding. This is the amount of calories we use just to simply digest and absorb our food. It actually takes calories for us to consume and digest food. So some things that we can do to kind of think about this and to improve or boost this area of our metabolism is to increase our protein intake. Why? Because protein actually it boosts our metabolism by up to 25 to 30%. So when we eat protein, it takes more energy more calories for us to actually digest and absorb protein, as opposed to carbohydrates, which are about 6 to maybe 10%, and fats, which are 2 to 3%. So just recognizing by having more protein, not only is it helping us to preserve lean muscle mass, but it's also helping us to stay fuller, more satiated longer, and it's also helping to boost this section of our overall metabolism. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying to only eat protein. It is really important that we have a well-balanced meal. So what I recommend is making sure that you have at least a protein source at every single one of your meals and snacks. That can be anywhere between like a palm size and making sure that it's somewhere around 20 to 30 grams at each meal and snack. I recommend trying to have a breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack before dinner, usually spaced out 3 to 4 hours so that we're able to enjoy and really digest our food before our next meal experience. And making sure to include an afternoon snack is really helpful, especially if you struggle with overeating at dinner or overeating at night. Now, our third component of our metabolism is NEAT, and I really want you to hear me on this one. So this, I love to say, is NEAT up. This is one of the biggest things that you could ever do to have an impact on your overall metabolism on a day-to-day basis. And what is NEAT? NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. NEAT is me literally teaching you and flailing my arms like this. NEAT is you just going for a walk around the block, you choosing to take the stairs rather than the elevator, you choosing to park further away from the grocery store. It's you just sitting at your desk fidgeting. All of those things are components of a NEAT. It is not structured exercise, but it is movement that is requiring calories. If you have a desk job where you're sitting a lot, or maybe you're just living a very sedentary lifestyle, this is the biggest component you could ever take advantage of. So I really encourage you. This is literally 15 to 20% of your overall total daily energy expenditure. And so some simple tips for you to take on would be maybe going for a walk when you first wake up in the morning, or maybe taking a walk after dinner, or simply just making sure that you're playing with the dog or playing with your kids, or whatever feels good for you but isn't structured. And just making sure that you're getting up and moving throughout the day. You could set a little timer to make sure every hour you're standing up and just shaking out or going for a walk. But I am not kidding. This is the biggest impact you can ever have. And the best part about walking is there's no real need to recover. And oftentimes we don't overcompensate by overeating, right? We're not overly exhausted. We're not feeling too tired. And that's sometimes the problem too when we're doing high intensity exercise. When we do high intensity exercise, sometimes we're so exhausted the rest of the day that we really struggle and suffer with our overall NEAT. We just stop moving in general. A lot of times it's subconscious. So just start becoming aware of making sure that you are moving throughout your day, getting up, going for a walk, playing with the dog, playing with your kids, getting up and at them. I promise it is the best and biggest thing you could ever do. And if you were surprised at just how impactful walking is to your overall health and boosting your metabolism, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. All right, and here we go. The final component of our overall metabolism, our BMR. This is the biggest component of our total daily energy expenditure, whopping up to 65 to 70%. And what is our BMR? It is our basal metabolic rate, or our resting metabolic rate. And this is the amount of calories we burn at rest, literally doing nothing, right? When we are just sitting here chilling, but our body is helping us to regulate our body temperature, it's helping our brain to function, our organs to function, our immune system, literally all of the things that we need in order to be a living being. This is how many calories you need to consume just to stay alive. Now, what is the BMR like affected or impacted by? It's impacted by our age, our sex, our weight, and biggest one here, our lean body mass, all right, our muscle. And the reason is because muscle is the most metabolically active tissue we have on our body. 1 pound of muscle burns 7 to 14 calories per day, whereas 1 pound of fat only burns 2 to 3 calories per day. And over time and compounded, it's actually can be a lot. And this is why those people who may weigh more, like athletes, but have a lot of muscle, can consume thousands and thousands of calories and still stay lean. It's because their muscles require more energy. This is also why when we are crash dieting, we end up, because our bodies don't want us to starve to death, our bodies will literally start to eat or digest its own muscle protein in order to make sure that it slows down the metabolism because it doesn't want you to starve to death. This is why when we crash diet, our metabolism will slow down with it. So when we go back to our normal eating habits, our weight will rebound really, really quickly. This is the other reason why we gain weight and it feels like our metabolism slows down as we age. It's because we literally are losing 3 to 8% of our muscle every single decade, especially women. And so it's really, really important that if we want to keep this BMR fired up, the biggest thing that we could ever do is to strength train, is to resistance train, is to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which is the rebuilding of muscle. I would recommend maybe 2 to 4 days of resistance training, making sure you're doing compound movements. Those are things like squats, deadlift, bench press, pull up, lat pull down, push-ups, all of those things that are working multiple muscle groups all at once, and making sure we are doing it in a way that we almost reach failure within a set. I do just want you to recognize and take away in this video that the best thing you could ever do, especially as you age, if you want to keep your metabolism in check, if you want to keep it increased, focus on building muscle. Focus on resistance training and making sure you're eating enough protein so that you can keep your muscles fired up, growing, and repairing. All right, and here's your bonus tip. Number 5, the best lifestyle tip, the best lifestyle change you could ever do to impact all 4 of your components of your total daily energy expenditure. The best thing you could ever do for your metabolism. Are you ready? It's sleep. Making sure that you are getting enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours every single night, as best as you possibly can. When we sleep, the way that it impacts our energy activities, thermogenesis, is that when we do show up for our workouts, we are able to go all out. We are able to actually give the intensity necessary in order to stimulate change in our body, in order to stimulate enough to adapt. If we're overly fatigued, we're not going to be able to show up for our workout with that same vigor, with that same intensity. And even though it may feel hard, it's not actually doing enough for our body to make change. Sleep also impacts massively our thermic effect of feeding, right? Because if we aren't sleeping enough, it impacts our hunger and fullness hormones, our ghrelin and our leptin. And so when we aren't sleeping enough, we tend to feel hungrier throughout the day, and we feel a bit like a bottomless pit. We just can't seem to get full or feel satisfied, and a lot of times it's simply because we're not getting enough sleep. Sleep is also extremely important for us when it comes to making good decisions and really being aware and having good judgment. And if we're not getting enough sleep, there's actually an increase in a hormone called cannabinoids. And think of it like cannabis. It actually increases our desires for the munchies, right? It increases our desire for things that are high in fat and sugar. And it all has to do with not sleeping enough. Sleep also massively has an impact in our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. When we are fatigued, when we are tired, we are less likely to get up and move. We are more likely to stay kind of low and just chilling on the couch after work, whatever it is. We don't want to get up and move because we're tired. And last but certainly not least, sleep has a massive impact on your BMR, your resting metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate, and that is because we need sleep in order to build muscle. When we sleep, that is when human growth hormone is released, and that is what the necessary hormone needed in order to repair muscle. If you're not sleeping, you're just going to continue to tear your muscle fiber apart. You're not actually going to be repairing it. And so again, the number one thing out of everything you could do, start first and foremost by making sure you're getting enough sleep. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you've learned something today. I'd love for you to share what your biggest takeaway was in the comments down below. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more or have some more personalized help when it comes to learning how to boost your metabolism, what things you can do to start really helping you reach your health and fitness goals without feeling deprived, without relying on willpower, or without feeling like you're stuck in this all or nothing, perfect or F it type mentality, then I really encourage you. I'd love for you to book a free strategy session with me. That's at www.rediscoveryoufree.com/call. This is just a free strategy session where you and I can sit down, talk about your goals, see where you're at right now, get to know exactly where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and if there's any way possible, I can help you bridge the gap in a way that is sustainable and allows you to actually, again, enjoy your life while becoming the healthiest version of you. And be sure, guys, if you now understand how to move your body, but you're struggling with some ways of needing to stay motivated, then be sure to watch this video up next. And other than that, guys, I will see you next time, and may you be happy, healthy, and fulfilled.